Hey everyone, it's Sam Ovens, and in this week's video I want to talk to you about revenue generating habits. So what are revenue generating habits? Why are they important to you, your business and your life? And how can you install them so that you can benefit from revenue generating habits starting immediately? So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Now, the biggest problem I see with entrepreneurs and small business owners in the early stages of growth, which is what most of my audience is, the people that tune in to watch these videos, mostly entrepreneurs and small business owners. Now, one of the biggest problems I see is that they invent a million things to do to avoid the important. And I talked about that in one of my previous videos, which you might have already seen. So they invent a million things to do, like blogging and obsessing about their logo and their website, and design things and sort of vanity things that really don't move the needle in the business or have any real effect on anyone other than the satisfaction of the person that owns them. So, a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, they invent a million things to do that are not important, and they generally avoid the important. And the important is getting customers and growing revenue. If you're an entrepreneur starting out, or if you're a business within the first 3 years, the most important and the most critical thing is getting customers and building revenue. Without customers, you don't have a business. Without customers, you don't have revenue. And without revenue, you're going to be out of business very quickly, even if you raise a ton of capital. I've known a lot of different companies that have raised a ton of capital, but failed to get the critical mass of customers and revenue and gone out of business very quickly. So the most important thing that an entrepreneur or an early stage business owner should be focusing on is getting customers, getting clients, and growing that revenue. Now, it's such a hard thing to do when you start out. Like, it feels wrong. Sales feels a little bit sleazy, and it feels like a bit manipulative, and it wreaks havoc with all of your emotions inside of you. When I first started Snap Inspect, which is my software company, I remember that I used to make cold calls to sell our software to property management companies. And it freaked me out so much that I used to drink 4 beers before I could get on the phone. And I'm not kidding you, I'd wake up in the morning, have breakfast and everything, sort of do some email, and then I'd realize that the most important thing to do for the day was to call about 10 or 20 different companies and tell them about our product and how it would help them. And it was so painful for me to do when I started out that I had to go grab 4 beers out of the fridge, sit down and listen to some good music, and drink 4 beers before I could muster up the courage to make the calls. Now, that is a horrible strategy. So I'm not recommending that you go and drink beers to make so that you're able to do revenue generating activities every day. That is not what I'm saying. But that's how hard it was for me at the beginning. And I'm sure it's very hard for many other entrepreneurs and business owners to do as well. It freaks everyone out. And when there's a painful task that freaks you out, your brain invents 1,000 things to do so that you can avoid working on that. It's like its protection mechanism, so it doesn't feel fear and it doesn't feel rejection and the other things that are associated with sales. So what I've found the most powerful way to combat this fear as a start out entrepreneur and early stage business owner is to make revenue generating activities habits. So the most painful things in our lives, or the things that are hardest for us to do, that take huge willpower, for example, going to the gym, or for example, making sales. So those take a lot of willpower and they're very hard to do each day. It takes a lot of energy out of you. Any activity like that takes a significant amount of willpower and energy, the only way to do it systematically and reliably over time is to habitualize it. It's to make it an ingrained habit in your life that you simply cannot live without doing. Now, I read this book by the author James Duhigg called The Power of Habit. I've linked the book on Amazon below this video. You should definitely check it out. It's well worth a read. But James Duhigg wrote an entire book on how habits are formed, how to break bad habits, and how to form new empowering habits. And basically, to form a habit, there are three things. There's a trigger, an action, and a reward. So a trigger is an event or a time of the day or something that triggers your brain to think, all right, now it's time. The action is the thing that you have to do. So, the trigger could be a 6 a.m. alarm clock. That action is to go to the gym. So as soon as you wake up, the action is to go to the gym, and the reward could be a sauna at the end of the gym session, or a tasty protein shake after the gym session. So that's the reward. So a trigger is something that signals to your brain it's time to do the action. Then you complete the action, and then you give your brain a reward. And what happens over the course of about 30 days is your brain realizes this pattern. It's like, well, this thing happens, then I do this, and I get a reward. And after 30 days, it recognizes this pattern, and then naturally what starts to happen is whenever that trigger goes off, your brain thinks, I want that reward, so I'm going to do that action. And it becomes effortless over time. So if any of you have tried to go to the gym, you know that those first 30 days and creating that habit is really hard. There's a lot of willpower and everything. But then after that, it just becomes natural, and you almost can't live without doing it. It's just your routine. It's ingrained in your behavior. Well, the only way that I have found to personally overcome making sales is not to drink 4 beers like I used to do, but to make it a empowering habit. So what I did in the early stages of Snap Inspect back years ago now was, first thing in the morning was my trigger. So the first thing I did when I walked into the office, before email, before checking social media, before doing anything, I didn't care how bad a problem was. The printer could be broken, anything could be going on inside the office. But the first thing I did when I got into the office was contact 10 new prospects. That was the most important thing. So my signal or my trigger was first thing in the morning when I walk into the office. Action was contact 10 new prospects. And my reward was, after I did that, I'd drive to my favorite cafe, block 30 minutes out, and just enjoy a nice $5 latte. And I'd just sit there in the sun, just knowing that I had done the most important thing for the day, and that the rest of the day I was going to power through it because I'd ticked off the most important thing. So this is what I mean when I talk about revenue generating habits. The biggest problem start-out entrepreneurs and early stage business owners have is not making enough sales and not growing that critical mass of revenue to sustain the early stages of business. Now, the way to combat that is to make sales, but as I said, there's a lot of friction internally and emotionally when it comes to making sales. And the only way I have found to do it systematically and reliably over a long course of time is by making it a habit, and I still to this day have that same habit when it comes to sales. So this week I want to challenge you to create a revenue generating habit inside of your business. If you can successfully create a revenue generating habit inside your business, it will change your business and it will change your life. Once you learn how to take an activity that scares you and really freaks you out and takes a lot of willpower to do, once you're able to take one of those things and make it a habit, then you have cracked the code to doing many difficult things in life, including sales. So I challenge you this week to create a revenue generating habit inside your business. Now, to do that, you need to think of a trigger, an action, and a reward. So the trigger could be a time of the day. An action will be doing a form of sales or marketing. It could be sending out emails, it could be sending out direct mail, it could be cold calling, it could be whatever your your way of getting new sales is, that would be the action, and the reward would be something inexpensive and simple that you can give yourself that you enjoy. So for me, that's a 30-minute break and a nice coffee at my favorite cafe, and I might read, a magazine or something. It doesn't have to be fancy, but that's all your brain needs to form a habit. And if you can do this, it will honestly change your business and your life. So that's it for this video on revenue generating habits. If you're checking out this video anywhere else other than my blog, head over to samovens.com, and that's where my blog is, other videos like this are, and that's where the comment section is and lots of free resources and things like that. So if you're not on my blog now, head over there. And if you enjoyed this video, what I want you to do is hit the like button above this video, share it with your friends, and leave me something in the comment section. I personally read all of the comments and reply to them. So if you've got a question for me or if you've got some feedback, leave a comment and I will personally respond to it. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I challenge you to create a revenue generating habit in your business this week starting today. Thanks.